risky, according to a report, the state of the media yesterday from the School of Communication Studies. GRA, SML, Ghana Expand Revenue Audit, Core Company partners 3 institutions for skills development and special supplement on Idul Fitr. In the graphic today, we are drowning in information but starved for knowledge. That's what the graphic said. Also on the back page, UNFPA presents equipment to KNUST. Ambulance service introduces emergency service for children. They should just stop collecting money and asking people to buy fuel. Yep. Well, the Daily Guide this morning says Nana commissions new police barracks at Kwabenya. NDC clears 14 constituencies put on hold. Mahama Brian comments not criminal, says the IGP. Dr. George Akufu-Dampare. 13 foreigners arrested for manufacturing explosives. And what's on the back page? Well, SCN not interested in Stars coaching job. GFA launches foundation. 30 Zango communities battle for Sharabutu Ramadan Cup. And finally, from me, the Ghanaian Times, in improving police welfare, President inaugurates 322 housing units to provide accommodation, modern facilities for personnel of Ghana Police. Economy expands by 3.1% in 2022, according to the Statistical Service. NPP NDC urged to allow police carry out duties. An alleged treason trial. Witnesses denies manufacturing guns for coups. Helen, what do you have there?
I think we can briefly connect with
Felicity, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Felicity Ahafianyo is joining us on the phone line now. Felicity, good morning. It's cloudy already. A few showers earlier, around between 3 and 4 a.m. Are we to expect some more rain?
Yeah, good morning. Yes, you're a good observer. We have to employ you. Secondment to our forecast. Yes, we are having a series of rainstorms over the sea this morning. So it's going to induce cloudiness over southern Ghana with pockets of rain here and there. It's not going to take one particular form. As the clouds drift, they mature, then they shower, and then they continue. So we should expect cloudy weather today over the coastals and then part of the middle sector. The north and then part of the transition, they will be having a partly clouded this morning. Later in the afternoon, they are going to have a pocket of rain and thunder clouds that is possible to result into thunderstorms with rain. In terms of temperature, we are expecting an average of 31 over the coast, 32, 35 over the middle sector. The north, we expect 38 degrees Celsius. For the state of the sea, the winds, it will not be too windy, but we are having these massive rain storms over the sea. So the fisher folks need to navigate cautiously. And if need be, they should just pack off. If their boats are not big, they just have to rest and then continue later in the day after 2-3 p.m. The Volta Lake this morning, those around the Oti region, Yeji, Kwame Danso area, they can do the fishing activities. By late afternoon, some isolated thunderstorms is also likely to form. So as we keep saying, when the clouds are gathering and it's becoming darker, the wind speed starts picking. They just have to back off and then relax and continue after the rain. As today is not going to be massive, they can still navigate around it, but they just have to be extra careful.
And some are also worried because we're going to Jamestown tomorrow. What's the weather, if you can hazard a guess?
Yeah, tomorrow we are having a lesser probability of rain over the coastal strip, especially the eastern coast. But those going towards central and western region, yes, the probabilities is on the higher side. So, yes, 3FM TV3, you can go for the Jamestown tomorrow. The probably having only 30% chance of rain over those places tomorrow in the morning.
Right. Thank you, Felicity. So that's a signal. All of you join us at Jamestown tomorrow for our live outside broadcast. That was Felicity Ahafianyo there joining us to give us some weather update. It's 27 minutes after 6 here on 3FM 92.7. Helen, what do you have there by way of headlines?
All right. I've got the Supreme newspaper in front of me. The front page has The president honored police smiles at Akufo-Addo as he commissions newly constructed police barracks at Kwabenya. It's time to break from the shackles of impossibility, Bawumia tells Africans. And effective data on reducing disaster impacts critical. NADMO boss. Famia receives 25,000 Ghana cedis in compensation after purchasing fuel mixed with water. You got some compensation there, 25,000.
Why has that become rampant these days? I don't know. You find them. I mean, you remember that around the eastern side of town.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm scared to buy fuel whenever it's raining.
Yeah.
Very, very
because
scared.
of things like this.
Very, very scared.
And the rainy season is upon us, so you've got to be extra vigilant.
Against the fact that you don't have money to buy to fill your tank.
Your tank. The Daybreak newspaper this morning says NDC hunts for NPP gurus' assets. Hungry jurors snap court over unpaid allowance. Akufo-Addo commissions newly constructed police barracks at Kwabenya. The Vanguard this morning, Famia receives 25,000 in compensation. Still talking about the fuel mixed with water. IMF loan facility now a done deal. Finance Minister, he's pictured here. We'll get into that. EC accepts Nana nominees and Bawumia visibility soaring. This might be an opinion piece, but we'll get into that. Lastly, the Business Finder, 322 houses for police. Payroll cleanup can save Ghana 10 billion Ghana cedis annually. That's coming from the fair wages. And WTC8 General Assembly, over 500 delegates coming. And that's what I've got in front of me this morning. Quite a few of the headlines talking about that new police barracks in Kwabenya.
Tell us the detail. What do you have?
Well, the President of the Republic on Wednesday, 19th April 2023, commissioned the Kwabenya Police Barracks project for the officers, men and women of the Ghana Police Service. Addressing the gathering at the event, President Akufo-Addo stated that government, since assumption to office in 2017, has launched several initiatives aimed at addressing Ghana's housing deficits, which currently stands at some 2 million units. The story goes on to say, despite these measures, the president stated that rapid urbanization continues to put immense pressure on our land resources, which has led to the degradation of prime lands, particularly in urban areas. That is why government, through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Lands Commission, has embarked on an ambitious urban renewal program aimed at redeveloping prime areas in major cities across the country, including the Kumasi Sector 18, Marine Drive Tourism Development Project, and the Takoradi Beach Road Redevelopment Scheme, amongst others. And that's what the president had to say. Talking about that housing deficit, you'll recall last year, the National Renters
rent control assistance
scheme was launched with the aim of providing some sort of loan to persons who wanted to rent, because government acknowledged that paying 2 years up front is too much. But whose job is it to ensure that?
But that is, yes, I mean, that's one leg of the conversation, because you have a rent control department who have been crying that we should make them an authority. I've said that the rent control department itself needs some rethinking and relooking at. But beyond that, the rental assistance program or scheme is for employed people.
Exactly.
So you could be a youth who has accommodation challenges. If you're not employed, you're not part of it. And then the question I always ask is, whose job is it to provide the employment? Number one. Number two, whose job is it to provide the enabling environment for people to have the wherewithal to be able to do business? Because now even those who are in business, Guta and importers and exporters and all of that, farmers and those in the agri sector, they're complaining that times are hard. So the jobs are not there. We are not employing the young people. They don't have the avenues to be able to create their own jobs if they want to become entrepreneurs. And then we say we want to provide housing, but first you must have some work to do so that we can deduct the whatever it is from source, and don't need a guarantee and all of that. Beautiful initiative, if you ask me, but ill thought through. because majority of the people who may not have where to sleep actually do not have jobs. So it's literally to say, okay, I want to give you accommodation, but first go and get a job. If you don't have a job, you're not benefiting from my accommodation. How does that add up?
It'll be interesting to get a progress report on how that scheme is doing, what the uptake was, and if it's been beneficial to those who were able to participate. But as always, getting that information might be tricky. We always ask for the data, but that doesn't come. Speaking of data, because this one is captured on the front page of the Supreme newspaper, effective data on reducing disaster impacts critical. That's coming from the NADMO boss. You recall at the top of the year we were talking about earthquakes because we've been feeling some tremors here and there.
Bad air, all of that.
Bad air and all of that. But we need to have effective data so we know how to plan. Well, Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Eric Nana Ajiman Prempe, said the organization in the past few years renewed its commitment to devise strategies that facilitate effective engagement with all stakeholders in efforts to prepare and respond appropriately to disasters. He said at the PDC National Disaster Preparedness Baseline Assessment Inception Workshop. What a mouthful. National Disaster Preparedness Baseline Assessment Inception Workshop. Goodness me. Let me catch my breath. Well, according to him, NADMO maintains the view that measures that enhance the ability to have access to sufficient data that speaks to what will happen, when it will happen, how it will happen, where it will happen, who will be impacted, and what is to be done to reduce the impact on the vulnerable population is critical. I'm quoting him here. He says, in line with this, NADMO, through the United States Embassy, is collaborating with the Pacific Disaster Center, PDC, to undertake a capacity building exercise on the use of disaster aware platform. It's a lot of English, but essentially what the story seeks to tell us is that we need more data. We know from other jurisdictions that where they've been feeling more tremors than usual, it's a sign that there might be a big quake on the way. But we've been feeling tremors, but we don't have that data in detail.
The last time we asked where the fault lines are or where, the answers that we got in terms of where the fault lines are were not too satisfactory. Up until now, we have not been able to identify, those key fault lines. And for me, that's critical because no matter what we say and put on paper and assume and have conversations about, it ends somewhere. And then what? Because when we finish all the talk, they'll ask you, if I live at Abokobi, am I living along a fault line? So that if there's a little tremor by whatever magnitude, will I be affected? That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because people are digging boreholes. People are trying to take, like you would say every day, people are trying to go around the system to see how they can take their destinies into their own hands. So the fault lines in any country would have been published by now. People will know that, okay, I live around Wager. We know that those areas, yes, you have them there. But where else? Where else? William, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I mean, even those areas that we've identified as, tremor or like earthquake-prone areas, what are the rules that are guiding construction? If you look at McCarthy Hills area and some other places. So, I mean, the agencies responsible may have challenges in terms of equipment and funding and everything. But I'm saying those that have already been done in terms of identification of the faults. Who is regulating what in terms of high-rise buildings are just popping up every day in those areas. So if there's a disaster, and also our disaster management, NADMO will come and say, well, they are okay in terms of readiness, in terms of training, but the equipment are they?
Do they have?
So, as I always say, these are things that the government must concentrate on because they are basic. If you put the human being at the center of development and you talk about health, this is also something that touches us directly in terms of our survival or existence as human beings. So
somebody has built right on the Ebri Mountain. If you live Accra, and you're after Ayi Mensa, you're trying to meander your way to the top. Somebody has built right at top, right at the tip of the mountain. I'm wondering which district assembly had the presence of mind to give whichever individual it was the building permit to say go and build at this place, especially when just a few meters away, we've seen parts of the mountain, come off. The boulders are coming down. We've had the highway go to block one side of the road and actually had mesh, fitted on that part. So I'm wondering who had the presence of mind, because if you know the Bri area so well, Kitasi now is no longer green. Blekusu is no longer green. All those areas used to be very green. Now they have been browned up with all those huge facilities that have been put up there. Then you come down below, if there's an expression, down below, towards the Ayimensa area, and all those areas that used to be the buffer, the water that comes from the hills or the mountains, take their time to slow down, because it comes with a certain gush. So it has to slow down around the Ayimensa area, the green belt, and then so it doesn't rush straight into Accra. Previously, when it rains, it could take like an hour, maybe more, before water comes down all the way to Accra. These days, little rain on the mountain, 15 minutes, everything is in Accra. And I don't think that anybody will go and collect sand and put it in the rain water, as it were, when it starts raining. So where does the silt come from? Where does it come from? It comes from the top. And everybody is building concrete jungles. I mean, previously, if you went to the Bri Mountains, my grandmother comes from Kunkunuru, and on Saturdays when we went there, it was, you could sometimes clearly even see. It was misty, it was foggy, it was cold. Around this time, Charlie, you can't wake up. In the evening, if you have not finished bathing by 3:34, forget about it. You will be in trouble. The water is cold. Today, people actually build hotels and put air conditions in them on the mountain. It should tell you that we are not in normal times. We are not in normal times.
And I actually come from Ekropong, and I lived there for 9 straight years. So, but the problem for me is that we are not even aware that the flooding is in Accra. The situation up there affects the flooding in Accra because of the way the landscape is. So if we are losing...
In fact, NADMO has told me so many times
the flooding
that it affects it.
So if the vegetation cover up there is being destroyed, or now we are having a lot of buildings coming up, and there's no conscious effort to control what is going on. And building in Ghana, or if like in Accra, follows a certain direction. One generation, or even within a 10-year period, you see all the buildings are springing up around New Achimota.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they will move to East Legon. Then they'll be moving there. Then Spintex. Then so this is something that any layman should know, so that there will be conscious effort to control vegetation, control drainage, control power supply, water supply. I have not gone to any planning school, but this is something I see every time. So if the Ebri area, the Ekropong area, is now what the target is for people to build, because now Accra is expanding, people are going towards Kaswa, then towards the eastern region, Ekropong. If that's what we are going to do, then it must be conscious. We shouldn't just leave it to anybody to buy land and build anyhow.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I don't know.
But William, I have been to the mountains. Sometimes even latte. Latte, cold, cool. Now people are putting up buildings along all those places and tiling them. So the floors are no longer green, because William, you grew up in that area. We used to visit there and come back. Frequently. And you enter somebody's house, you'll be amazed at the greenery in the house. There are trees in there. You would also see natural grass growing, that kind of thing. So rain comes down, it quickly seeps into the ground. In some homes, you'd have ant hills and all of that. Now, people are building and paving with concrete pavement. People have tiles of all kinds, from Turkish tiles to whichever tiles that they have. And so there's no point. So again, it comes back to the point that we're raising. The district assemblies, do they make a conscious effort to say, William has acquired a 2-acre plot on the mountain. He wants to build, put up a property. So William, what percentage of this 2-acre plot do you intend to make green? that conversation doesn't happen.
Charlie. You see, one thing I've observed during the Easter break, I told you because of family, I had to go up and down. And I got to Peduasi. The number of people in Peduasi up there, and when you descend, the number of cars. So this is something that has been building up over the years, but now it's increased. So human activity too is hitting the Equapim Ridge.
That's right. Yeah.
What are we doing about it? Because people go there, they will drink, they will litter.
Yeah.
People go
car
there,
fumes and all of that.
car fumes and everything. This is if we are going to do some recreational activities out there because of the nature, people would want to walk for health reasons, and they are going to walk and be breathing all these fumes, and then we are also going to litter the environment. I don't think anybody has started that conversation because if the ridge is becoming a tourist spot, there must be a certain plan.
Charlie,
That's right.
William,
From the base of the mountain to the
William, even enter a Brick Gardens, even enter a Brick Gardens, because we have messed up the mountain, or we are beginning to mess it up. We're turning the green belt into a concrete jungle. Down at Aimensa, we are constructing and turning it into another concrete jungle. Then when you enter a Brick Garden proper, the botanical garden, we are cutting down trees and probably not replacing them. You know, that's where the Ikapim South Municipal Assembly's office is. So right in front of them, some of the trees that are old have been cut down. I mean, when I was young, my father used to take me there, the chalets, you know, they had all those exciting, we could spend weekends there, beautiful. Go and see the chalets. The chalets are not in good shape anymore. I mean, the last time I checked, they said we're going to do some reconstruction, refurbishment, whatever it is. The trees, the species, they are getting finished. And the colonial government had the presence of mind to even administer the whole country from the Brick Gardens. So what are we doing to ourselves?
So, Johnny, I'll share an experience I had when I went to Seychelles. The policy was that if your house or structure is near a certain tree, that structure should not be higher than the tree. So you enter Seychelles from the airport and the whole country is enveloped
by trees.
And you also can't go and cut down the...
but you can't even build higher than the tree you are going to cut.
The quality of air.
Look, you stand by the shore and the sea is so clean because that's what 70% or 80% tourism.
Right.
So they don't joke with the environment. And this is doable.
Charlie.
You know, doable.
Nanaya Achimpimjanto has joined us. She's the General Secretary of
Presidential
Kwame Nkrumah's own Convention People's Party.
I am saying that you are the
beautiful presidential hopeful.
For the CPP.
I think highly endorsed by 3FM Sunrise.
We see PB.
I'm going to print posters for you. Free. The guy will say free.
William, we see PB. Nanaya, welcome. Good to have you. We just have 5 minutes to go for Johnny's bite quickly. Well, so quick one. I'm sure you've been following the back and forth with the IGP, Brian Champon, John Mahama. He says, well, their comments are not criminal. He's set up election office and secretariat and all of that. Well, how does the CPP feel about all of what's going on?
Are we not joking? This morning when good morning, greetings to everybody, we don't have time. I mean, we have issues to think about.
Adjust the microphone.
We have issues to think about, so Johnny. Somebody just called me. We discussed it about the money in the account that was taken. I mean, economic issues are hitting us so badly. Prices are high. I don't want to repeat what I said the last time, but it is true. The inflation is down, but prices are not going down. So these are things that we should focus our attention on. But the point is that you don't set a certain precedence, and when it comes to some people, you say it's not like that. The Swami,
right.
The boy was immediately picked up.
That's right.
And whatever he said, maybe in other words, is synonymous to whatever these two people have said. Do you understand?
That's right.
And as somebody said yesterday, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right. So I don't understand what it is. So when I heard that, I said that we don't understand clearly what he means. So he should tell us. He should tell us what is criminal communication and what is not criminal communication.
Right. He should not pick and choose.
Yes, if there are some guidelines which is there, then I know that if somebody says A, B, C, D, it is criminal